Diabetes is the leading cause of kidney disease. So today we're speaking with Jodi from Whitehorse in the Yukon, who's been living with kidney disease and diabetes for 20 years now. Thank you so much for joining Plugged In, Jodi, to share your experience on living with two chronic illnesses.
Thank you for having me.
So Jodi, if you could take us back to the beginning of your journey, when and how were you first diagnosed with diabetes, and when did you learn about your kidney condition?
When I was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I was 7 years old.
Wow.
So pre-diabetes life, I don't honestly remember, but I do remember the holidays. My sister would get the chocolate rabbits for Easter, and I would get a 5-pack of Trident gum. Yippee!
Oh no.
And then I found out probably in 2005 that my kidneys were starting to fail. I'd had a heart attack due to so many years of diabetes that they discovered my blood pressure went sky high and discovered that it was my kidneys that were starting to fail. So we just paid a little closer attention to what the numbers were and watched them as it went on. So I knew about it, but nothing really to prevent it because it was going to happen. It was just when it would happen.
Yeah. And do you remember when it happened in 2005, how you felt?
I think the heart attack kind of took over the kidney problem because I was more worried about my heart than my kidneys. I don't honestly remember if it made me feel any different, really.
Yeah. Do you remember when you were 7?
Not a lot. I remember being in the hospital at 7 and them coming in, the nurses coming in with a syringe of insulin, obviously, and the little girl beside me was 2. And I didn't really understand what was going on, so I'm sure she had no idea what was going on. And she screamed a lot. I don't remember screaming, but I do remember, and I think it's maybe a tale from my childhood days, going to the doctor's office with my mom, and the doctor feeling my glands and telling my mom, she's got diabetes, there'll be a bed waiting. But I remember sleeping a lot, drinking a lot, going pee a lot. And I made my dad carry me through the mall before my doctor's appointment because I was scared my pants were gonna fall off. But other than that, I don't know. I don't really remember. A long time ago.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing though. And thinking back now, what were the early symptoms that made you suspect that you might have kidney issues?
I think my blood pressure slowly started to go up, so they tried medication and that wasn't helping. And then I do recall here in Whitehorse at the hospital that I think they put me in ICU because my blood pressure was like 140 something over 200 and some. And they were trying to give me IV medication at the time. And at that time back then, you could still pick whether you wanted to go to Vancouver or Edmonton for healthcare. Right. So we picked Edmonton because it was closer for family to come from Saskatchewan. And so they medevaced me out. And that's, I think, when I honestly found out that my kidneys were failing and we needed to watch closer and control the blood pressure. The big thing was the blood pressure, control the blood pressure.
Yeah. And speaking of blood pressure and trying to control those symptoms that can lead to kidney disease, what other things did you do in terms of lifestyle to help that?
I think the biggest thing was omit the salt. Like I've never been a salt eater, but I can sit down every now and then and eat a chip and eat the whole damn bag. You just gotta limit that, and I've never cooked with salt so for that it wasn't a big thing. It was the soaking of the potatoes for potassium and stuff, soaking your potatoes, and to me soaking the potassium out kind of took the flavor out of your potatoes.
When I was on dialysis, on my restricted diet, I wasn't allowed to eat potatoes. So I found a way to eat potatoes. If you twice boil them, then it's totally fine.
So twice boiling them reduces the potassium by 50%, which is pretty remarkable, at least. So you get to enjoy potatoes as often as you like when you double boil them, right?
Yeah.
And you soak the potatoes a little bit as well. Apparently that stops them from going brown, I understand. I learned that today.
Yeah. Also helps start the leaching process. So mainly what we want to do is leach out all the potassium. And a bonus is that it takes out a lot of starch, so makes it even more healthier.
But I mean, I still watch the salt. I always look at a label. So I mean, I do I do still pay attention to all that, even though dialysis pulls some of it off. But it's always been in the back of my head to watch for these things. I'm just not a salt eater, so I don't think it was.
That's fair.
I use Mrs. Dash because there's no salt in that, and I found other Epicure has a lot of no salt added spices, so I don't know. I wasn't a radish and salt eater like my husband is. It just makes me sick when he eats a radish and dumps salt on it.
Very French. Oh, how French. Oh la la.